Good morning, student. Today I am going to do the explanation of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. He is the poet Leslie Norris, and I have already discussed about the poet that he was a famous Welsh poet and he used to write short story writer. He was a short story writer. He was born in 1921 in Wales in West England. Leslie Norris had decided even at an early age that he would become a poet. So his dream only was to become a poet. He was very much interested in the poem of Dylan Thomas and Vernon Watkin. These were the two poets who has motivated him. I mean, he was interested in these two poets only. Children, he became famous with his first publication, Finding Gold. His works won various awards, including the Cholmondeley Poetry Awards and Catherine Mansfield Memorial Award. He died in 2006. So this is all about Leslie Norris. And children, um, he wanted to say, actually the central idea of this poem is that we should not cage the proud creature like a tiger in a cage. It is a shame that such a powerful, agile and creature should be kept in a zoo. In his natural and wild habitat, he doesn't need help of any kind to he doesn't need help of any kind to hunt its own food. His hunting of deer at the waterhole may seem rather cruel. He hunts not for pleasure but for food. His presence in the natural habitat is necessary to maintain the balance of food chain. Sometimes the tiger may stray into human habitation, but he goes there only to display his strength and to frighten a human being. But there he doesn't harm anyone till he is provoked. Even in the cage, he ignores all those who come to the zoo to see him as an entertainment. Like human being, the tiger too loves and values his freedom. He shows his anger, hatred and even defense by walking about in rage in his cage. Human progress should not be at the cost of destroying the natural habitat of untamable and proud animal like the tiger. Now children, I will be revising the main points of the story before I explain the poem. So the main points of the story is that the tiger is not in his natural habitat. He is dwelling and living in children. He was the dweller of the forest, and from the forest forcibly he was brought in a zoo, and he is caged in a zoo. And this is his artificial habitat, and he is very angry. He is quite rage. He is walking here and there. Now, so the tiger is not in his natural habitat. And children, the tiger moves very softly and quietly with his pads of velvet. What is pads of velvet? Yesterday I explained you. Pads of velvet, children, are the his claws, and the lower portion of his claws is very soft like a velvet. But the range of his movement is limited because he is confined in a zoo. He goes on moving around within the confine of his cage. The tiger does not relish the stares of the onlookers in the zoo. His rage or anger is suspended. Now, the poet is wanted that he should have been in his natural habitat. The poet mourns that the zoo is not the right place for the tiger, for a strong animal like tiger. He is the denizens of the forest. His real place is in the forest only, and he should have been in the forest killing the plum deer and enjoying there. Now he is coming sometime in a village for some time to terrorize the villagers, okay, and to show his strength. The writer is telling that the tiger generally doesn't attack till he is highly provoked by some human being. Killing is not his hobby but only the necessity of his food. Now, alas, the tiger is not in his natural habitat. Unfortunately, he is long in a concrete cell of a zoo. His powerful and strong body is of no use to him as he is put behind the bars. His movement have been limited. He is continuously moving about the length and breadth of his cage. He doesn't relish the curious stare of the visitor. He simply ignores their presence. And children, he remains awake till late at night, staring at the star and hear the sounds of the cars of the zoo official who are patrolling there at night. The stars shine brightly in the sky and so his brilliant eyes at night. He is constantly looking at the brilliant star. He watches the brilliant star only behind the bar of the cage. So children, once again, the important point which I have discussed yesterday, I will be revising once more. The tiger is not in his natural habitat. The wild or the jungle is the natural habitat of the tiger. Unfortunately, the denizen of the forest has been confined to a caged habitat in a zoo. He is no more free to roam about in the forest but walks within the length and breadth of his cage. He has dark spots on his skin which are clearly visible even from a distance. Condemned to live in his cage, he walks around quietly with his velvety soft feet. He is angry but has to suppress it. In his quiet rage, he continues walking up and down his caged habitat. The poet imagined how the tiger should behave if he is in his natural habitat, the wild jungle. There he should be silently hiding himself in the shadow, remain unnoticed. Sliding through the long grass, he should move stealthily to ambush his prey. He knows where he can find his kill in the wild. His favorite hunt is the plum deer which he can find near the water hole. Sometime he comes out of the forest and stray in human settlement at the edge of the jungle. There he terrorizes the villages by opening out his wide fangs or the long teeth and claws. His ferocious look frightened the villager. However, he has no intention of entering the village and killing anybody till he is highly provoked. Unfortunately, the mighty tiger is cursed to live in a concrete cell in the zoo. Many visitors come to see him in the zoo, but he doesn't like the stares of the visitors. He simply ignores their presence. Now he is made to limit his movement only in the length and breadth of his caged habitat. The tiger keeps awake till late in the night. He hears the noise of the patrolling cars moving around in the zoo. The brilliant stars shine in the sky and his brilliant eyes shine in the night. He can't free himself, but he keeps on watching the brilliant star standing behind the bar of his caged habitat. Okay, so children, this is all about the poem. Now I am going to do the explanation of the poem. So now children, I am going to read the poem, okay, and then I will be doing the explanation. He stopped in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, or pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where pump deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle edge, baring the white fangs his claws, terrorizing the villagers. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears a last voice at night, the patrolling car, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant star. So this is all, children. Only a 5 stanza poem is this, and let's written what is written in the appetizer first, and then we will be doing the explanation of the poem. So the poem contrast a tiger in the zoo with a tiger in its natural habitat. So children, the two scene is depicted here by the poet. One, the tiger who is very happy in the forest, it is his natural habitat, and the other when he is caught and he is kept in the zoo. So this two scenario is being described. One, when the tiger is kept in the zoo, and the other is when he is living in his natural habitat. The poem moves from the zoo in the jungle and back again to the zoo. So he is moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. Read the poem silently once and say which stanza speak about the tiger in the zoo and which one speak about the tiger in the jungle. So our first paragraph, and now you have to write the meaning also. He stalked to his vivid stripe the few steps of his cage on pairs of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So some new words you have to write it here. So first word is stalk. So what is the meaning of stalk? To walk in an angry or proud way. Vivid. Vivid is very bright. So the meaning of vivid is very bright. Then stripes, long lines on the body. Long lines in the body. You can see the brown, dark brown spots are there, stripes are there on the body. Then cage, children, we all know a box which is made of bars. Okay, pads is cushion. Velvet is soft silk cloth. Velvet is soft silk clothes. Rage, violent anger. So children, these are the new words. Stop, to walk in an angry or proud manner in a cage. Vivid is very bright. Striped long lines in the body. Pads are the cushion. Velvet is soft and silky. Rage is violent anger. So these were the new words of the first stanza, and now the explanation of the first stanza will be there. He stalked in his vivid stripe. That means, children, that now this is the scene of the zoo. Okay, the tiger is now, children, you have to see alternate description is there. Once he is telling about the zoo, that what tiger is doing in the zoo, what is his mood in the zoo, how he is feeling in the zoo, and the other, how he was free when he was living in the forest. So he is stalked in his vivid stripe. That means, children, he is walking in the zoo. He is quite angry. We can see, children, his vivid, very bright stripe, long lines on the body. The darkest brown color is there in his body. The few steps of his cage, he could not walk freely because the cage is very small. So he is taking only a few steps. He is taking in the cage as the space is very limited. On pads of velvet quiet. Pads is a question. Okay, children, the lower portion of the claws, this, okay, this portion. So it is very, children, that portion is he's telling it's like a pad of velvet. It is very soft like velvet. Okay, and in his quiet race, he is not making any noise. He's not roaring or showing any type of angriness, but he, sorry sir, he is not showing any type of angriness. I take my words here. He is in violent anger. Though he is not roaring, he is not making any noise, no voice is coming from him, from his mouth, but he is walking in a violent anger. He is very angry. So children, this is all about the tiger which is in the zoo, okay, which is caged and which is locked in the zoo. He is walking in a very angry mood. Children, he is walking because the space is very limited, so he could take only very few steps. At the same time, the dark stripe, the dark brown stripe on his body can be seen, and he is very angry. So children, this was the explanation of the first paragraph, stanza. Now second stanza. He the stripes on his body. In the first stanza, it can be in the MCQ question, children, the stripe on his body, children, they are quite visible, and the heels of the tiger are soft like pads of velvet. The tiger is bound in his cage, and he controlled his rage quietly. Now the second paragraph. It should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. So some difficult word, new word meaning, I am going to write it. Yes. So lurking is waiting secretly. Then shadow is darkness. Sliding through. Moving smoothly and quietly. water hole, a small pool of water where animals comes to drink water. Then plump. So children, here the scene of the jungle is described here. In this paragraph, the scene of the jungle is described here. Okay. So he should be lurking in a shadow. Okay. Now children, here the scene of the jungle is described. The scene is the time when the tiger goes for the hunt. So he is waiting secretly in a shadow. Shadow here means dark area. Maybe he must be hiding under the tree or under the bushes, behind the bushes where nobody can see him. Okay, he is waiting secretly, sliding through long grass. Okay. Or children, he doesn't attack by challenging his prey directly. He lies, he hides in the shades of a tree. Okay. He is sliding. Long grasses are there in the forest. He is walking quietly behind the grass near the water hole. He know very much that near the water hole animals will surely come to drink water. So he is hiding nowhere else. He know to drink water because there is no other water sources in the forest, only few, one or two. So he know deer or any other animal will surely come to drink water here. Yeah, so he is hiding behind the grass near the water hole or behind the shadow. Children, lurking means secretly he is waiting where plum deer pass, and he is actually waiting for the deer, which is his favorite food. And plum, he doesn't attack any thin deer, he is waiting for some fat deer. Okay, so this first stanza is about children. The first stanza is about what? The first stanza is about the forest and about zoo, and this stanza is describing about zoo. Now, he should be snarling around houses at the jungle edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Now, children, the third stanza is again telling about the freedom of the tiger. He is not caged here. So first stanza is about zoo, second stanza that how freely he was in the forest. Whenever he feels like attacking or hunting, he used to go hiding and attack the ram deer. Now again, this is the freedom of the, in the third stanza again the writer is telling about the freedom of the tiger when he was in forest. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the villagers. So what he is telling, he should be snarling around houses. So I should write the meaning of some of the words. Snarling, snarling is making an aggressive growl, showing teeth. Then around in various direction at the jungle edge, at the outer edge of the jungle, bearing not covered with white fangs, two long sharp teeth. So, snarling is making an aggressive growl, showing teeth at the jungle's edge, at the outer edge of the jungle, bearing not covered with white fangs or two long sharp teeth. So, student, this is, he should be snarling around the house. So that means he is making an aggressive growl, or he is roaring in a very aggressive mood, and he is walking children around the houses which is there in the village. And children, those houses, they are at the jungle edge. That means he don't have to go inside the village or the town. Those houses are situated at the jungle edge only. Bearing his white fangs, bearing children, he is showing his two long sharp teeth to the villagers, and his claws, nails of animals. He is showing his claws and his white fangs to the villagers to create fear. Okay, so the writer is telling, had he not been bound in his cage, the tiger would have been roaming around freely. He should have been growling around the house of the human settlement at the outskirt of the jungle. There he would open out his sharp long white teeth and paws just to terrorize the villagers. So he should be snarling around the houses of human settlement. The human settlement is at the edge of the forest. He bears his white long teeth. He terrorizes the villages. So this is all the third paragraph. Now first paragraph is shown how the tiger is there in the children. Now here, but he is the fourth paragraph, but he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bar, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitor. So this is the second paragraph. Again children, if you will read this paragraph, you will find that again this is the scene of the zoo where the tiger is caged, here. Okay, so how he is feeling there in the zoo, his feeling has been described here. Okay, the feeling of the tiger when he is caged in a zoo, that feeling is being described here. Okay, so children, let's talk. Here the poem is comparing the tiger in the zoo and when he was in his natural habitat. So children, let's revise. The first stanza is dealing when the tiger is in the zoo. Second and third is dealing with the when he is free in the forest. Now children, since the time ends, I conclude my video. In my next video again we will be discussing the question answer, and remaining part of the poem will be explained. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.